Good evening, folks, and welcome to another episode of the ARCA Racing Podcast, driver interview segment. We got a brand new show for you guys tonight featuring a new driver, Mason Maggio. Is it Maggio or Maggio, actually?
It's Maggio.
Maggio. All right. I've always had trouble pronouncing that name, but thanks for coming on the show. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well, getting back into the swing of things after the holidays and hopefully working towards bigger, better things both on and off the racetrack.
Good. So the first question I wanted to ask is, for the people who might not know who you are, why don't you just give as much as you want, give like a little backstory for us.
Yeah, so I'm Mason Maggio. This year I'm going to be driving the number 51 RWR Racing Pro Late Model this year in the Carolina Pro Late Model Tour. I got a start in racing a handful of years ago. Got the racing bug bitten by me when I went go-karting with my dad just to go out and have some fun. And ended up beating him in time, and he eventually we started going back more and more, and ultimately I told him, I said, "Hey, Dad, I think I want to give the racing stuff a try, see how I like it." And eventually, here we are now. We're heading into my 5th year of racing, so it's definitely been an exciting journey.
And how old were you again when you started racing?
I was 12 years old when I started racing, so I was a little bit late rather than what a lot of young drivers have been doing it.
How old are you again currently? I didn't know.
Yeah, so right now I'm 17 years old.
Oh, okay. So only for 5 years, but yeah, you've accomplished, I would say, quite a bit.
Yeah, for sure. You know, we've come a long way in 5 years from the time that we started doing bandoleros to, where we are now competing in the Pro Late Model Series. And hopefully we'll continue to be able to go up from here.
That actually does lead into one of the questions I had. If you want to go ahead and name all the different types of race cars and series you've driven.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've driven in the INAX Legend Car Series, which is, again, bandoleros and legend cars. Mainly did that at tracks such as Atlanta Motor Speedway, Chris Motorsports Park, up in Georgia. Done a couple races in North Carolina and Florida, and then just last year, actually moved up to the limited late model. Excuse me, and did that for a year, and that was very successful. Did that mainly at Hickory. Won 4 races and won Rookie of the Year and second in the points. And now we're moving up to the Pro Late Model, which is a little bit different from the limited. Got a lot more power, a lot more grip, and really just the horsepower difference and the handling that's different between the Pro and the limited. But yeah, overall, those are pretty much all the cars that I've driven on a consistent season type basis.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So that does lead into another question about the cars, and it's kind of a question I like to ask everyone. Some of them don't have the answer. So, from your recollection, what's the oldest car like you've ran that you could think of?
Well, recently, funny enough that you bring this up, I got called to come run a Mazda Miata at Sebring a couple weeks ago, for the Champ Car Endurance Series race, and I think that was by far the oldest car that I've driven. It was a 1999 Mazda Miata,
Wow.
And with a couple of modifications on it. So, yeah, funny you bring that up. I did my research on it, and I didn't realize how old it was originally until literally after the race weekend.
That actually is also one of my questions that I was going to ask you is, judging by the different parts I've seen of your career, what was it like going from the short tracks, late models, to a Mazda and a track like Sebring, one of the hardest road courses in the U.S.?
Yeah, I mean, the transition was really fun. I certainly enjoyed road course racing. I haven't done a whole lot in my career, but the handful of times that I did road courses and legend cars, I always enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And, we've always been good on the road courses, just, unfortunately never had the results that I feel like we should have had. And that goes for the same thing in the Miata. I think we showed a lot of really good speed and good pace throughout the weekend, but ultimately got caught up in somebody else's mess. My co-driver got caught up in somebody else's mess, unfortunately, and at that point you just kind of take it in stride and just go run the rest of the race. Once we got the car repaired, we didn't really have a shot, but regardless, I still had a really fun time. It's definitely a big transition from a short track oval to shifting gears and turning left and right. But with today and how NASCAR is heading into the direction of trying to do more road course races, I feel like it's extremely crucial to get that experience. And I certainly did get that experience. And like you said, one of the toughest racetracks, being Sebring, certainly was a big learning experience, and one that I'll definitely take if I get more road course opportunities in the future.
Where'd you guys end up, if you can remember, where'd you guys end up finishing? Was it just one class, or was there multiple classes?
There were multiple classes throughout the race. I'm not sure where we finished overall. I think in my class individually, I think I had to guess, 15, 16 cars.
Wow.
And I think we finished 13th or 14th due to having to go behind the wall and repair the car. Like I said, got caught in somebody else's mess and really just didn't have a shot. At that point, we were just going out running the laps and getting experience.
But if you guys hadn't gotten the damage, where do you guys think you guys would have ended up?
I definitely think we could have ended up on a podium. We somehow drew the pole for the race. And, we were doing pretty good for the most part in our class. Just, fell a little bit behind there in the beginning and, ultimately just had to settle. But I think overall, we would have been a top 3, top 5 for sure.
Would you like to do more road course racing in the future if you had the opportunity to?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, thankfully, the Carolina Pro Late Model Series has a pretty open schedule, so it's very strung out. So if I could maybe find the funding and put it together, I can definitely try to go run some different types of road course racing that's fairly cheap. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's always that keyword, funding.
Yeah, for sure. It's huge in the sport.
So overall, going to your 2021 season, overall from January to December, how would you evaluate your whole season as a whole?
Yeah, I think my season was overall a success. I mean, first full year driving a stock car, full-size stock car, full-size race cars in general. I mean, like you said, with the Miata, and then the late models between both the Pro and the Limited. And yeah, I think overall it was a success. We won races. We competed for a championship. We've been pretty competitive just about everywhere we went. We've never had to play catch up for anything in particular. So I think overall it was a big success. But, heading into 2022, we're just going to strive for more.
How many wins did you get this season?
This past season, we won 4 races at Hickory.
And where'd you guys end up in the championship?
We finished second overall in the championship. Missed it by, I think, 10, 12 points, if I'm not mistaken.
Was that a tough pill to swallow?
Yes and no. Funny enough, the race that I think would have really cost us the championship there was the one that was our first race, and we had a bunch of mechanical issues. And ironically enough, we actually would have had a top 5 car the first race that we ran if we didn't run into a mechanical issue. And it's hard to believe that the first race of the season, being the first ever stock car race, was going to be the dividend of the championship hunt. But no, I mean, overall, there's pros and cons to it. The pros being, my good friend and my teammate at the time, Max Price, won the championship. And, he had been really good and consistent all year. So, props to him. But as far as from my standpoint, being as successful as we were this season, it stings a little bit. But, like I said, there's pros and cons to every situation. And I try to look at it more as a pro, knowing we finished 1-2 in the championship, and we won a ton of races this year.
Awesome, man. So what kind of late model division was that again?
That was limited late model.
And you said you'll be in pro, right, this year, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So obviously talking about the Rick Ware deal, obviously you did post about it, but for the people who might not have seen that, could you give a little bit of background about how this deal came about with Rick Ware Racing?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've known JR Courage, who's the general manager over at Rick Ware Racing, and he runs a majority of the short track program as well with the pro late model deal, and I've known of him through Facebook and Instagram, social media apps like that, and never really met in person, but met him a handful of times at Hickory when the Carolina Pro Series would go to Hickory, and would talk, and I think I made a pretty good impression because eventually he started, joking around with us and saying, "Oh, when are you guys going to come drive for us?" After like my first 3 races of limited late model, which was, I think 2 of the more impressive races that I've had that year was, winning my first race and then, finishing 3 wide across the line in a photo finish for the 3rd race, and he was there for those 2, and further discussions led into it, toward the race shop, and then had several meetings along with that during our race weekends, and eventually in August I got the word, and we got the phone call that Rick, JR, and then my crew chief James Edwards all came to an agreement to put me in the seat this year, and I was really ecstatic because it's very rare that somebody can get an opportunity like that, and then with what they're doing behind the scenes and even what they've released right now. I mean, being associated with Ford Performance, the Ford Motor Company, that's huge for a team like them in order to move forward. And then on top of that, with all the great relationships that they've built with the people that they have surrounded with them, it just makes it that much more exciting. So, hopefully, we continue to show some strong runs. We had a great run at Southern National back in November, and hopefully we'll, finish 2 spots better than where we did back in November. Southern National is the first race of the season, so finish 3rd there. Hopefully we'll finish 2 spots better in March when the season starts.
Was that the only race you had run for Rick so far, or how many races have you done for Rick?
Yeah, so the Thanksgiving Classic at Southern National was the only one. It was kind of a last-minute opportunity. We were hoping to really do some testing if we did do the race. Ultimately, we couldn't really fit it into the schedule, unfortunately, but those guys had enough faith in me, and they twisted both me and my dad's arm to, come run it and not have to worry about it so much. So basically never ran laps at Southern National, never ran a pro late model before. So I kind of went into that race with not a lot of expectations, but that quickly changed with, a little bit of coaching and to my racing, as well as some footage watching. And we were right on pace first thing when we got there. So, thankfully those guys believed in me enough that I can go out there first ever time at Southern National and put a good race together. And that's exactly what we did. We finished 3rd, and we finished ahead of my Cup teammate here at Smithley. That's something I like to, brag about.
Yeah, I would definitely brag about that. That's for sure.
No, but in all seriousness, I'll give Garrett some credit. He taught me a lot going into that weekend. I hadn't ran a race longer than 50 laps, and going into that one, we were going to run 125. So he certainly taught me a lot. I learned a lot from him in the race. So that was a big learning experience, and we've done some testing recently at Hickory and Ace, and so far we've looked really good, and I think we're going to have a really good opportunity to grab some wins this season and compete for a championship.
How many races? I mean, how many races are in the 2022 season?
Yeah, so the Carolina Pro, as far as I'm aware, has 12 races right now on the schedule. With the Cars Tour releasing their pro late model deal, I'd like to go do one, but key word that we mentioned earlier. Funding is going to be a big part of that if we want to go run a race here and there. But our main focus right now is Carolina Pro and for their late model stuff, and we'll just see where that goes. And hopefully, if we get some more funding, we can go run races elsewhere or try to work towards something a little bit bigger.
Have you confirmed what number you'll be in yet? Will it be 51?
Yes, sir. It will be 51.
And will you have any teammates from time to time, or will it just be you out there?
Yeah, so I think it will just be me. I think there's going to be a car fielded here and there, but that other car would probably go towards Cars Tour. So that other car basically is for one driver and actually a crew member, Jacob Courage, who's a good friend of ours and a great friend on the team that put in some work, and in return he's going to do a couple races in the Cars Tour. So he'll do that later in the year. But that will be a whole separate car that won't be my car. But yeah, so that's really, as far as I'm aware, that's the only second car that will actually be out there, but it won't be with me out there as well in particular.
Of all the tracks that you guys are going to in 2022, which one are you most excited for, or like most confident for?
Yeah. Well, thankfully, the first two races of the season are two tracks that I already have experience at, being Southern National and then Hickory Motor Speedway. So, I'm already excited as it is to get the season started, but I'm even more excited knowing that I've got some experience heading into these two racetracks. So I definitely have a lot of confidence in that. And, we've gotten up to speed at other racetracks really quick. So, but if I had to say if there was one or two tracks that I'd be the most excited for that I haven't gone to yet, I would definitely say Carteret County Speedway. It's a flat track. It's provides some great racing from what I've seen, at least in legend cars and the late model race that they had a couple of weeks ago. And I also heard that they got a cool little bar and grill inside the restaurant, inside the racetrack. So I actually heard the food was pretty good. So it's got me a little bit more excited to not only go out there and race, but to maybe do a little bit of food testing. See if I can put on my best Guy Fieri. Go to Flavor Town.
That also leads into another question. Is like from whatever series you've been racing in your career, overall, what is your most favorite track you have raced on in any series? Your favorite track?
I would say Atlanta Motorsports Park, which is actually a road course that kind of started the spark for me to, that it allowed me to enjoy road course racing. And, like I said at the beginning of the show, we haven't had the results on the road courses when I did them in legend cars, but that was the one where I just had the most fun. I mean, to give you an idea of what that track is like, it's like a Road America. It's got a lot of hills and elevation change, a lot of sharp corners, big, heavy braking zones, sweeping right-handers, a whole bunch of, long, fast straightaways. And it's just a fun track, and it's also a great facility, too. I mean, the facility and the hospitality there is great. And, when we went there for nationals, the people were awesome, when we went. So I'd say Atlanta Motorsports Park is definitely top of my list, but with the amount of racetracks that we're going to be going to this year, who knows, that might change. We'll have to see.
So out of all the series that you have raced on, especially with maybe in the last couple of years, who would you say is like your most fiercest rival on track? Like the guy or gal you always strive to beat every race?
Ooh, this goes way back into my Bandolero days. And he's still a good friend to me to this day. My buddy Kenny Brady, we raced Bandoleros together for about a year and a half, 2 years. And, we were teammates for my first year. And, he was always finishing in front of me my first year. I was always coming up 1 or 2 spots short. And I remember when I got my first ever race win, my first 2 actually. I forgot. I swept the weekend. But I beat him both times, and I felt so accomplished, not only knowing that I won my first 2 races, but I beat a guy that, I'd been finishing, second, third, wherever behind so many times. And, I also have a great deal of respect for him. He's been a great friend, great supporter of mine throughout the last couple of years. Came to one of my races this past year at Hickory, and that meant a lot, winning in front of them and then getting to celebrate by going to dinner. He's just a great person that I have a lot of respect for, and it was certainly fun racing with him when I did.
So you respect him, but man, when it's time to put that visor down, it's no holds barred, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
So, obviously, you said you've won a lot of races. Out of all the races that you have won from when you started to your last win last year, what is the biggest win that you would call of your career?
Man, I mean, to be fair, it's really hard, especially since this year was so special. When I did win races, they came on occasions that maybe were a little bit more heart-wrenching. But man, I've already got my sights set on one race that I could end my career. I mean, I can't do it on a win, but I do it in one particular race. And that would be if I got to race at Daytona once in anything. I would literally end my career right there if I had to. It's not a race win. I don't even care if I get to finish the race, as long as I got to be a part of it and experience all the crazy stuff that Daytona has to offer in those races. That would be it for me. I can end my career on a high note, knowing that I've raced Daytona, a track that I've wanted to run ever since I was a little kid.
So that's definitely that was another question I was going to have. So that would be your biggest goal that you would like to achieve in racing, really would be to race at Daytona?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, obviously the ultimate dream would to be, run as many races in the top series as I can, whether that's in stock cars, sports cars, whatever I can get a hold of, try to take advantage of any opportunity that may come my way. But, with a track like Daytona, I went to the 2017 Daytona 500, watched Kurt Busch win that race. And, ironically enough, that was the race that kind of solidified it for me, that, made me want to go try to race and, chase a professional career in it. So, it just holds a special place in my heart for multiple reasons. And, if that's what it meant, that I would only make one cup, one Xfinity, one truck, series start, whatever, and it would have to be a Daytona and I have to end it right there, I'd do it in a heartbeat.
That would be bigger than a win for you, just to get to start the race?
Yeah, absolutely. It's so hard to win in the top series of NASCAR or of any series in general. But, I think that would be the highlight of it all for sure, is knowing that I've raced Daytona and that I, made my 12-year-old self's dream come true.
One last question before we'll get you out of here. So overall, we've talked about your 2022 plans, the deal with Rick Ware. Any other series you plan on racing in this year, or is it just going to be the Carolina series?
I'd certainly like to do some more other races outside of Carolina Pro, but as far as an actual series, that's the series that we're going to stick with. But, we're going to certainly try to figure out some more opportunities, do some more short track racing in another series or another car. Would certainly like to do, a couple road course races here and there if we can fit them into the schedule. And but other than that, the Carolina Pro is our main concern, to go and win races and go for a championship. And other than that, other series be just to get experience or try to go trophy hunting just to have some fun with no pressure.
Hell yeah, man. So before we get you out of here, anyone you want to shout out?
Yeah, of course, I want to give a huge shout out to my family for allowing me to do what I get to do, allowing me to go chase my dream and support me no matter what. I also want to thank my friends for their support. Big thank you to RWR Racing and everybody at RWR for the opportunity here in 2022. Certainly going to, do the best I can and put them in the position that they belong in, and that's up front, winning races and competing for a championship. I also want to give a huge thank you to all of our partners from this past year, and that will also be coming on board for 2022 with HMY Yacht Sales, Bahama Beach Club, Ingalls Marine Diesel, Richmar Florist, GCI Slingers, Gravel Conveyors, and everybody that supports us for, allowing us to do what we do.
Awesome, man. I love it. At the end of the 2022 season, could we maybe do this again? I'd like to get another review of your season.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd love to come back on and give you guys a rundown of what the year's like. I'm sure it's going to be a good one.
Well, I hope it is, man. And I'll be cheering you on. Obviously, we follow each other on social media, so I'll be retweeting you, and I'll keep in touch with you, bud. And you have a very successful 2022 season, bud.
Thank you, buddy. You too.
Have a good night, buddy. Bye. All right, guys, that was Mason Maggio, and he was obviously a bundle of joy. What a fun guy. I mean, I didn't expect him to give well-detailed answers, but boy, that was a lot of fun. And obviously the Carolina Pro Series, number 51, RWR Racing, I believe it was a Ford. He said it was a Ford. Cheer him on. Follow him on social media at Mason Maggio 1. I believe that's the tagline. It's in the description. Copy that, paste it in Twitter, go follow him. Lovely guy. If you're a fan of RWR Racing, obviously you got to follow him. So follow him, cheer him on. Can't wait to have him on the show, hopefully at the end of next year, or I guess this year now. And obviously for ARCA Racing Podcast, we have seen a lot of ARCA news come out lately. We will be discussing all of that tomorrow when I get off work. 4:30-ish, 5:30-ish with the normal time that we usually have the ARCA Racing Podcast, but we'll talk about all that fun stuff tomorrow. Many stories regarding Venerini, Amber Balkan, and a lot of other fun drivers. Thank you guys for watching. You guys have a good rest of your night, and we'll catch you all tomorrow on the ARCA Racing Podcast. So long, guys.